But I'm going to record this. Anybody that's not in the meeting here or missed it earlier. So I have the silver chart up on the right. If we do a top down, we could start with the dollar. Still flirting with these long-term higher lows. It really are kind of set technically here, going all the way back to 2011 when commodities peaked with the ECM business cycle. Monthly cycle is low, which is actually interesting because the equity monthly cycle is high. That would jive if we actually had a bigger risk off move for the next 3 or 4 months. It's not the case so far. The weekly cycle is high, which I think is actually the same in equities. We'll get to that in a second. Daily is low. Kind of a lot of mixed currents cyclically. Put in a bottoming tail at 92 at the trend line. We made a higher low a couple of weeks ago, followed by a rejection at the bands. And then it's a similar story on the euro, right? So you get this crossroads kind of cyclically from the monthly, weekly, daily, and then price-wise, were you going to break down through 116? That was the area that kind of we talked about. Maybe the euro holds here at the bands, which it did. And now you're testing the upper end of the range, whether it's right here at this trend line or if it's a little higher, like 119. So we're kind of in an intermediate term chop versus these longer term pivots. Gold is has the lower highs, and that trend line's a little bit higher. Kind of the underside of that apex upward sloping trend line that broke is 1950. So it's kind of telling the same story. We'll see if this daily cycle plays out. So that's why we were talking about being a little bit short silver. I want to be more aggressively short, I think, just out of frustration. But I'm going to wait, I guess, and see if we test 119 on the euro, then I'll go to the short side a little bit more on silver. Don't have that much long on gold. I bought some 1900 strike calls when we were down here when the euro was 116. Made a little bit on that. If I was a little bit more long, then I'd probably be feeding into the silver short. As far as the rest of the dollar pairs, cable held pie, no surprise, 126 3/4. You're kind of at resistance back from September, very similar to what the equity market's doing, with resistance at 3,400, dollar yen. It's just a chop fest. I haven't done anything there in so long. Euro yen, maybe fail at the underside of the 50. It's kind of the same trade as the metals and equity market. You're 50% retraced of the move down from late August, September. Probably the same with Dragon. 50% is probably more like 39, 38, 39. Similar looking chart. I guess I'd rather be a little bit short these other pairs. Contrarian short. I haven't done really much in FX. Kiwi, it's all the same thing. Aussie, same thing. Aussie yen, same thing. Oh, that looks weird. A bad print in that chart. Euro pounds in no man's land. What am I missing? That's everything there. Oil's frustrating. It looked like we were going to maybe break down and get kind of more of a signal from risk off standpoint. I mean, it looked really heavy into last week, and now we just chopped right back up. So it's kind of a reflationary chop, which I would have rather sees the trending to the downside. It would have been much easier trade. was looking like we might get the deflation growth slowing trade, but not the case. And then long bonds, same thing. And you get this bounce in oil, you get the dollar doing what it's doing, long end gets smoked. I bought some 10s down here. Not that crazy about it. Long 30s out of the money. Covered my ultras probably. Geez, 223. It sucks. And then we talked about S&Ps. It's all about this 3,400 area. That's going to be a big strike for the options positioning. I guess it's actually 34 at 20. All these highs, three, 4 highs back here from September, mid-September. And it's the same chart on the Dow. It's 20, I forget what the handle is. 28 and a quarter. And here. And then we're obviously the Russell, we're watching 1600, and that move's just been frustrating. We covered really well, shorted a little bit, kind of was pretty patient, but I'm just frustrated that nothing else is working to get more short up here. I can't add to it because I haven't been a chance to get out of anything else. And even short vols not coming off. You can look at the VIX. Russell over here. So I've talked about this way too much already this morning, but we go from a new low, and then what are we going to do? Go all the way to a new high in a straight line? It's just nasty. Meanwhile, the rest of the market can't even move. Amazon can't bounce. Nasdaq can't bounce. At least Tesla's on the lows. Strange. Financials, not impressed. Utilities trade. Look at the utilities market versus bonds. Utilities trade like growth slowing, deflation, which they should. Meanwhile, strange. Look at energy on the lowest. Then get crude's rallying. This is strange. Commodities, wow, wheat might break out. Watch 600, that's a pretty big level. It's just like huge reflationary move to start the week. Outside of the metals. Jeez, look at the corn and soybeans. 2.25%. I don't have any of this shit on either. Copper can't make up its mind, sub 3. I think that's all I got. I'm just gonna watch how these indices and like the large caps, whether they can actually get through some of these levels despite this kind of squeeze in the small caps, which is pretty counterintuitive to reality. That's what markets do. There's one more thing I was going to hit on, I think. I think I covered everything, guys. I got to get on the road here in a little bit, so I don't have anything to do. My hands are pretty much tied, unfortunately, on a lot of stuff. But I think we got a pretty good handle on where we're at, and some pretty good levels. We're either going to get this intermediate term to reverse. See how much they can keep stretching this small cap stuff. All right, guys, you're welcome. Have a good one.